Make me a blessing. Genesis chapter 20. The present chapter captures the relationship between Abraham and his Gentile neighbors. The time had come for the father of all who believe in Romans chapter 4 verse 11, the father of the circumcised, Romans chapter 4 verse 12, and the father of many nations, Romans chapter 4 verse 17, to assume the role that God had assigned for him, to be God's bearer of the promise, to be a beacon and blessing to the nations, to the world. How should Christians relate to people of a different faith or do not worship God? What do we need to change about our understanding of the nations? Why does God want us to extend his blessing to the unbelieving world? First, people can be honestly mistaken and easily disadvantaged. Genesis chapter 20 verses 1 and 2. Abraham was incredibly helpful to his nephew and fellow Jew, Lot, but was extremely suspicious of all Gentiles, be they enemies or friends. He would do all that is in his power to rescue his relative Lot and his household from foreign invaders in Genesis chapter 14 verses 16 and 17. But he would keep things to himself, keep things within his community, and keep things separate from the Gentiles. Abimelech, kin of Gerar, unwittingly made what we called an honest mistake. He thought Sarah was a single woman, someone who was available. Abraham thought he understood the Gentile human nature, but he did not understand his own sinful nature. In Abraham's mind, Gentiles were unclean, uncircumcised, and ungodly sinners. Abraham's trust in God up to this point did not increase, but his mistrust in foreigners did. Second, God is highly impartial and equally merciful. Genesis chapter 20, verses 3 through 7. God causes the sunshine and rain to shine on righteous and unrighteous people. Matthew chapter 5, verses 44 and 45. Abimelech, to his credit, had a clear, in verses 5 and 6, heart and clean hands. The nation was innocent. He did not cause trouble upon Abraham or Sarah. The Gentile was not stubborn, selfish, or shameless. Unlike the previous deception in Egypt in Genesis chapter 12, verse 19, Sarah too got into the act. She agreed with the plan, abetted to mislead Abimelech, and assured that Abraham was her brother in Genesis chapter 20, verse 5. Even God did not reject Abimelech's claim of possessing a clear conscience in Genesis chapter 20, verse 5 and 6. The matter had not gone out of hand. Abimelech had approached Sarah in Genesis chapter 20, verse 4, but the Lord restrained him in Genesis chapter 20, verses 4 and 6. Unlike Pharaoh, who had to read the signs after serious diseases were inflicted upon Egypt, in Genesis chapter 12, verse 17, Abimelech did not suffer any loss except for a bad dream. Third, we should be heavenly minded and earthly good in Genesis chapter 20, verses 11 through 18. The father of all of us, belief, grew in faith and trusted in others as he learned the second time around that honesty was the best policy. Genesis chapter 20, verse 11. Abraham even confessed he used the imperative mood, say, in verse 13, on his wife. Abraham admitted his fears and absolved his wife from blame. Abraham's confession turned things around. Abimelech even invited Abraham to live with them and choose a place of his liking in Genesis chapter 20, verses 14 and 15. The friendship could not be possible before Abraham's education and transformation in Gerar. Finally, Abraham lived up to his name as the father of all of them that believe in Romans chapter 4, verse 11, and a blessing to all the nations of the earth in Genesis chapter 18, verse 18, by praying for the heathen Abimelech. The word pray occurs twice in the passage, in Genesis chapter 20, verse 7 and 17, and is its first appearance in the Bible. Interestingly, the first prayer in the Bible was meant for Gentiles. Heal also occurs for the first time in the Bible, Genesis chapter 20, verse 17, indicating that the relationship of Israel and her neighbors can go a long way with humility and honesty. After Abraham's admission, he lived a long time in Gerar in Genesis chapter 21, verse 34. In conclusion, believers are the salt of the earth and the light of the world. In Matthew chapter 5, verses 13 and 14, is your light brightly shining before men, that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven? Are people more impressed by who you are than much what you do? With who you are than by who you say you are, and who you are than who God is. It's worthless to be heavenly minded when there is not an ounce of earthly good in you. It's been said, people don't care how you know till they know how much you care.